Wastewater Dan presents wastewater math calculated with Excel spreadsheets. As a new service of ESDLT's Environmental Academy, environmentalacademy.com, today's example is to calculate the clock, day, and time for operational run minutes. And the problem reads, the process runtime for day 1 started at 7:20 a.m. and ended at 12 p.m. and day 2 started at 7:20 a.m. and ended at 12:35 p.m. The specified process required 414 run minutes. So we need to calculate the clock, day, and time when the specified process run minutes elapsed. So just to give you a little bit of background for this problem, we have a metered waste stream we have a waste stream that has two waste sources in it, metered waste and general waste. And we want to find out how this combined flow waste stream affects the performance in the wastewater treatment plant. And this wastewater goes through treatment tanks that has so many gallons of water in it, and it's flowing through at a certain flow rate. And so based on all of that, we've determined with other calculations, which I actually have videos for them as well, that 414 run minutes is required for this specified process to flow through the wastewater treatment. We've also determined or identified that this process only runs a limited number of hours each clock day. Each day it starts at 7:20 a.m. and it finishes at noontime, and the process does not run again until the next day. So we have to figure out when this waste is actually going to go through the 414 run minutes, and hence that's why we have this problem. So it's associated with some other wastewater treatment applications. So we're going to set up this formula. We're actually going to solve it in Excel. We're going to do it in two pieces. But the basic structure for the equation is going to be clock day time equals specified time minus day 1 plus the remaining time for day 2. So we know the specified runtime is 414 minutes. And I'm going to show you how we calculate the runtime for day 1 as being 280 minutes. And so we have the remaining 134 minutes, which is the 414 minus the 280, which is 134 minutes. We got to identify at what time this remaining 134 minutes elapsed in day 2. So we take the spreadsheet here and slide it down, and let's look and see how we put this in our Excel spreadsheet. Now there's a few things we want to do on this one. First of all, we'll open up a blank spreadsheet, and secondly, we will put some data in some cells on row 1. So on C1 we can put the start time, and D1 we can put the end time for day 1, and we can format those cells as time, and when we type it in, then this is what we're going to get. And we're going to put no particular formatting for A1, except that it's just a general format. We just need whole numbers on this thing. I probably format it as whole numbers, and no decimals, and put it as centered it and made it bold in the cell is how I have it set up. But you wouldn't have to do any of that if you didn't if you didn't want to, but that's just the format that I use. So let's put the cursor in A1, and let's put the equation in there, which is the equal sign. And there's a couple things we got to consider. We got to consider how Excel treats time, and it considers one full day as a unit, 1 unit, and it just accumulates day after day after day within its program. So if we subtract the 2 times, we're going to have something less than 1. We're going to have a decimal equivalent. And so we want to take that number, which is a result, and we will multiply it by the number of minutes in the day, and in this case, which is 1440, and that's going to tell us how many minutes in those time differences. And you have to put in the largest number, which will be the end time, and you put in the smallest number, which will be the start time, and that will give you a positive number with your result. So the equation then would be put the cursor in A1, go up to your formula bar, and put in equal sign, open parenthesis, D1 minus sign, C1 close parentheses, multiply, open parentheses, 1,440 close parentheses, enter, and that's going to be your 280 minutes. So that's the number of minutes elapsed in day 1, and you see that it did not consume the entire 414 minutes. So we're going to do another formula, and in the other formula we're going to figure out what clock time would the 134 minutes elapse using our designated start time for day 2. So you slide on down here and look at that. Again, open up a blank spreadsheet, put some information in cell 1 and D1, and then you'll put your cursor in A1, and we'll put in this equation. Now in C1 and in A1, we want a time, so we want to format these in the same time increment. In D1, we're just going to put in the number of minutes, so we can just put it in as a general format. Okay, so that's number 1. And then number 2, in order to actually get the time in this cell, we have to use what Excel calls the time function. And the time function is actually allows us to identify a time based on adding minutes, adding hours, or adding minutes, or adding seconds, or any combination of that. So you got to put in something for those 3 time increments. So I've got the function up here. So let me just go ahead and get the equation in. Put your cursor in A1. You go up to the formula bar. You type in the equal sign. Then you point to C1, which is where the starting time is. You put your plus sign, and then you go ahead and you put in the function for time, and then you have open parentheses, and then you put in a 0, a comma, the number of minutes, a comma, a 0, close parentheses, hit enter, and that's where you're going to get your 9:34 a.m. So at 9:34 a.m. on day 2, we will have elapsed 414 minutes based on the run times of starting at 7:20 a.m. and finishing at noontime for day 1, and utilizing 134 minutes up to 9:34 on day 2. So that's the answer to the problem, 9:34 a.m. Hopefully this has been helpful to you, useful. If so, please subscribe to my channel. Come back and look at additional information. I've got about 7 or 8 formulas with videos on my YouTube channel, and I'd love for you to subscribe, come back often, and submit questions through my email or my group, or through this YouTube search that you've done. And thank you for your time, and I hope to see you again here real soon.